I do think I've shown growth. I'm going to let them decide on if that's enough for me to be the starter. I'll say this, if I was to be named the starter, I'd be confident going into the year based off the growth that I've made up to this point.
Drew Lock feeling confident after a big game in Minnesota, but there's still work to be done in the QB battle.
Every day I just come out and try to help this team be a better team, help the other 10 guys in the huddle be the best version of themselves that they can be. Like I said a couple weeks ago, a decision will be made and, we go forward.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Broncos Camp Daily. I'm Phil Milani alongside Eric Dalala. Sidney Jones is on assignment. Eric, plenty of quarterback news to get to. We heard from both Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater today. But first, your observations from, what are we calling this, day 17, 16? I'm not sure.
Something like that. I've lost track. Training camp's almost done here. But let's start on the defensive side of the football, Phil. Justin Simmons had a couple of interceptions on this Wednesday. Looked really impressive, kind of picked up where he left off. We don't expect anything less from an all-pro, Pro Bowl type safety. No longer the highest paid guy in the league after Jamal Adams, but still playing like the best. So he was impressive. Near him, Ronald Darby. He's had kind of a quiet camp. We haven't talked a lot about him, but we've heard Vic Fangio say, sometimes when you don't talk about these guys, that's the best. You don't want to notice these cornerbacks. And he had a couple impressive pass breakups on this Wednesday. And then finally up front, Bradley Chubb just stringing together days. Could have had another couple of sacks here on Wednesday. Just pushed Garrett Bowles back really quickly during one team rep. Went right to the quarterback. So I like what I'm seeing from Bradley Chubb. I think he's got a breakout season on the horizon. And then talking about those quarterbacks, Phil. Teddy Bridgewater, more completions on this day. Had probably the best throw of the day, which was a deep touchdown pass to Trinity Benson, but also was intercepted by Justin Simmons. So you kind of have the up and down there. Drew Lock, he was kind of plagued by a couple drops from some guys that weren't necessarily his fault. His best throw of the day, I thought, Phil, was he stepped up in the pocket, fired a throw to Noah Fant. Unfortunately, the pass was dropped, but really a pretty pass from Drew Lock. I think we've seen growth from him over the last couple weeks, but Phil, as Vic Fangio has said, still not quite at a decision.
Yeah, I think that was sort of the news that came from today. Vic Fangio saying that he is, quote, pretty damn close to making a decision here at this quarterback spot. But he said more info is coming. Eric, let's talk about that. What does Teddy Bridgewater need to do in his start this Saturday against the Seahawks?
Well, I think now that he's going to be with the ones, he gets the start. You want to see him go out there from the jump and execute this offense. Get some balls to Jerry Jeudy. If Cortland Sutton's out there, throw it to him. Move the ball down the field. You're probably working against a little bit higher talent than he went up against in Minnesota. Just be efficient, execute this offense. And for me, Phil, I'd like to see Teddy be a little more efficient in some of these red zone scenarios. Third down, if he plays a whole half and you get to a 2-minute drill, let's see how he operates in that situation. That hasn't always been flawless out here. He did say on Wednesday that they're getting better in that area. But to me, Teddy Bridgewater, he's got to show that he can still push the ball down the field, make throws in those situations that we talked about. If he can do that, he'll put a good foot forward.
Yeah, and on Wednesday he was asked, hey, what's been your approach to this quarterback competition?
I wake up and I tell myself, be the best version of Teddy that I can be and let the rest take care of itself. And of course, we all want to be the guy making plays, in this league, but man, anything can happen. And as we know throughout the course of this last season and the years before, I had an opportunity where I was backing up Drew Brees, and Drew Brees got injured, and I ended up playing. So you never know, man. You may need 3-4 quarterbacks throughout the course of the season. Hopefully you don't, but, it's good that we have guys on this team who can go out there and have played football games in this league and have won in this league.
So Teddy taking the sort of even-keeled approach, and that speaks more to his personality than I think anything else. On the flip side of that, speaking of Drew Lock's personality, a little bit more energized, a little bit more juices flowing type of approach.
Yeah, and Phil, I thought the most interesting thing from Drew was that he said this competition has made him better. He's a better quarterback now. He doesn't take things as granted as much. He kind of values his opportunity here as the quarterback. And I think we've seen him take that to heart. He is a better player. I think you're seeing him read the field better. You'd like to see him continue to do that this weekend in Seattle. He's going to have a tough task because he's going to be with the number 2 offensive line. You'd like to see him go and build on what he did in Minnesota. But again, the main thing for Drew, I think, is not turning the ball over, make some of those big plays, he doesn't need to go throw an 80-yard touchdown again, but I would like to see him continue to be efficient and show that he's taken enough steps that you can trust him to be the guy.
Yeah, and the big thing with Drew has always been consistency. If he can, match that performance against the Vikings this week, then maybe he'll answer some of those questions here. Drew was asked, how has this competition made him a better quarterback?
You get to work on quieting noise, focusing on you, focusing on, the next play instead of, when you get out to a Sunday, you have a bad drive, you got to forget about it. Same thing out here, You might come out, have a bad couple plays, and, if you're just the starter, you just had a bad couple plays, but you're in competition, you're feeling it, so you got to let it go and move on to the next. And I think that was big in developing me this OTAs and this training camp.
All right. So, Eric, you think we'll have an answer come Sunday morning?
I think so, and maybe not Sunday morning, maybe a little later in the week, Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there. But I think before you get to the Rams game, I'd like to think Vic Fangio would make a decision, move ahead, start planning for Week 1 against the Giants. And Phil, if you want to know what's happening, if you want to know what's going on with this competition, it's a good place to figure it out. We got a nice view down here. We're not up on this hill behind us, and they kind of squashed all this fake drama between Drew Lock, Pat Shurmur. Heard that squash on Wednesday. So we know what we're seeing down here.
It's been interesting because there's been media who've been down here, like sort of the guys who cover the team every single day. But then there's some that have dispersed and sprinkled themselves throughout the fans.
Yeah, and somehow whatever they're seeing up there is very different than what we're seeing down here. Kind of interesting. But yeah, I think soon enough we're going to know who's going to lead this team.
Fangio all but hinted that starters would play in that third preseason game, said that the fourth preseason game is a bye week now. So you'll have that time to recover and get ready for Week 1 of the regular season. Eric, we do need to mention, because we brought it up yesterday, Pat Surtain II was not out at practice, and this is normally the time reserved for injuries.
That's right, it is. Yes, Pat Surtain, lower leg injury. They think he's okay. Don't think it's too serious. Maybe one guy to keep an eye on is Malik Reed. He had an ankle injury and wasn't out there on Wednesday, but otherwise the team's getting healthy. Tim Patrick back out there. Von Miller's back from baby watch, Phil. He was out there, so knock on wood, Phil, but this team looks like they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, good. Yeah, hopefully you didn't jinx anything.
I said knock on wood. It's fine.
Knock on wood. Okay, I like that. All right, that's going to do it for us. One more day to go here of Broncos training camp. For Eric Dalal, I'm Phil Malani. This has been Broncos Camp Daily.